please make sure you have 3 minutes, 4 minutes of food. Come on, guys, please, let's fucking kill him. Good damage. No Benny, no. Come on, push damage. Bye.
Kill. Come on!
Fucking Will!
Oh my fuck! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Holy shit!
Oh my god! Finally! Oh my god.
Finally fucking done with this shit.
Welcome everybody to MogTalk 126, a special episode today to discuss the wonderful EU first, world second group, Blacklist. If you guys have not seen MogTalk before, it is a show based around the Final Fantasy XIV community where we discuss everything from Final Fantasy XIV rating to Chocobo racing. Not rating, I said rating last time, that was a little bit weird, but guys, if you have any questions, please hit ! questions in the chat and we will try to gather some of those. We already have, I think, up to 150 questions in there, so we might not get to all of them. But before we go any further, I do want to go ahead and introduce the wonderful team that we have today from Group Blacklist FC Stardom. And I want to get everyone here to kind of just go one by one and just say who you are. And we'll start with you, Ben.
Okay, hey, I am Jay-Z. I'm the warrior for the group.
All right. Kiko.
Hi, I'm Kiko and I play melee and this time ninja for the group.
Excellent. Leaf.
Hi, I'm Leaf. I need no introduction.
Perfect.
Wow.
Nice, dude. Nice. All right. Then we have Mark.
Hello, I'm Mark, also known as Harry, the white mage of the group.
All right. Then we have Yurin.
Hello, I'm Yerentai, and I'm the Dread Goon of the group.
All right. And Yuna.
Hello, I'm Yuna. I played Scholar for the group, and I hate Exaflare.
A lot of people apparently hate Exaflare. I learned that on Twitter before I knew what Exaflare was. We'll talk about that though. We'll get into that. First, I want you guys to all understand this show will hopefully go over all the different questions you guys have. We have 3 groups that have cleared this turn ultimate now. So if for some reason you're holding back and you don't want spoilers on the fight, I wouldn't stick around because we might get into some of the juicier details today. Or maybe not. Maybe we'll just talk about cats today. It depends on what you guys want to do. What do you guys want to talk about?
Cats.
Cats?
Yeah,
Not cats.
Cats?
Yeah, cats.
Okay, very good. Very good. None of them, hopefully, are ill. And they're all in good health?
For now,
Mine
yes.
is for sure, yes.
Okay.
Mine's recovering from prog as well.
Yeah. All right. Guys, again, any questions, please feel free to fill out the question in the form here. Say something interesting. And I'll put it over here in this little box. I don't have someone actually doing this for me today, so I'm going to be doing it manually. And let's go ahead and get our first one in here for our highlighted comments. Perfect. All right, so before we go too much into detail, I do want to kind of get to know you guys a little bit more, because before you guys, achieved some pretty quick clears, but this is the first time you guys are like at near the top of the board. And you guys used to go under an FC called Blacklist, right?
Yeah, that is correct.
Okay. For some people who might not know why you're not in the FC Blacklist or how your group actually formed, could you kind of explain to them how this all happened, how you guys went to Stardom, and how you guys became a group yourself?
I would say the group kind of started in Heaven's Ward, Gorgeous, and kind of changed a lot over time. We used to raid, not really for world progression, but every tier we started doing more and more, and then eventually we decided to just go hardcore and go for it. When it comes to previous raids and why we weren't as successful as before, there's a lot of reasons for that. The group is not the same. Some people have improved and things like that. So,
okay, good enough.
But everything led to this point where we are now, I guess. So that is a good thing.
Excellent. I gotta ask, Blacklist. What does that name mean? Are you just like you don't like people, and you guys are on the blacklist?
No, we were kind of arguing back and forth about this, and our black mage back then was very hard-headed. People might know him as Dean, and very, very bad reputation on the game. And
there's a lot of
he
people
was basically on everyone's blacklist, and he was very insisting on the name of the FC being Blacklist, and so we just went with it.
Okay. It makes sense. I was kind of curious about that because it's one of those names you would think somebody might have if they just want people to know, I don't give a shit, I'm going to be an asshole kind of name. Yeah. But all right, cool.
That kind of describes the person that came up with the name pretty well.
But what Harry didn't tell you about the group also is that I only joined 2 weeks before, because I actually got a random message at about 1 a.m. from Harry or Mark asking if I wanted to join a hardcore group for progression. It's like I wasn't planning to do anything like this until like 2 weeks before, but I just got like a random message at 1 a.m. in the morning waking me up.
Oh.
Yeah, Kiko, Ben, and Yeren are the newest three to join the group.
Okay. Did you guys, with Ultimate coming up, did you all expect to, be in that Ultimate race, or did it all just happen really, really quick? Like you weren't like planning this months in advance. It just 2 weeks before you're like, you know what, let's do it. Let's get in a world race.
We always plan to go for like as fast as we can, but then we always have like roster problems. I would say the group didn't quite come together until maybe really 2 weeks before the progression started. Which is when the patch 4.1 hit, and we only had these 2 weeks to kind of synergize and play together and kind of get used to each other's play style. And I guess at that point, we were going to go hardcore, but how well we were going to do, I guess, was dependent on how well these 2 weeks before the raid went, and they went pretty well. So we were able to play really well together for the 2 weeks of the progression.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. How to play off that real quick? Just how did you guys get accustomed to each other? Did you do O4S a whole bunch of times in a row, or what'd you do?
Not
no.
before, no.
Oh, you did what?
Go ahead, Kiko. I will let you answer that one. Go ahead.
We just did a bunch of Savage, like the second coil, whatever, right? Because I feel it's the most appropriate for the upcoming difficulty, even though I don't think it's nothing to compare. Like it's absolutely different, and that was it pretty much. We did a few, I don't want to call it speed clears, but just like a few runs, like at the level 70 cap.
Okay, just trying to go as hard as you can.
Yeah.
Exactly. It wasn't really speed kills because we were with the progression comp rather than the speed kill comp, but we just wanted to see how much we could push with the progression comp that we had.
Okay. Cool. You know what? Before we get too deep into this, I wanted people to get kind of familiar with you now. Now that they are a little bit more familiar with you, I want to ask you guys, and each of you guys kind of tell me, how are you feeling right now? You guys feeling pretty good?
Yeah, relaxed.
Glad it's over.
Glad it's over.
Pretty much.
Kiko, how
Yeah, I
you
think-
feeling,
Just
dude?
add, I'm feeling good. Yeah, I can just add on to what Ben said. I'm glad it's over. Overall, I think it was fun,
Mm-hmm.
even though it lasted quite long. And yeah, I'm not really used anymore to playing that long, like for so many hours. But overall, I think it's a good feeling to beat it. And
Yeah, and I agree with the point that even though it was a longer progression, it is what we asked for, and we really did enjoy it.
Yeah, yeah. That's great to hear, and we might talk about that a little bit because that's been a topic of great discussion recently. Whether the content was too difficult, but we'll get into that a little bit here. Leaf, dude, how you feeling, man?
I feel great. Like the weight lifted off my shoulders when I saw like the cutscene after it was immense. Like when you see that last phase, like when you're actually doing it, the pressure that you're under to actually just play, like just do the easiest mechanic in the game is immense. So everyone just is feeling like a wave of satisfaction and just like a, I don't know, like a fridge is off their back now. It feels good.
Well, that is the obvious feeling, right? I mean, you can hear that kind of in your voices too at the end of that video.
I
Like,
mean, people
everyone
are
had,
probably
like, this-
close to breaking.
Everyone had this like almost orgasmic sigh of relief, just like, ah.
Yeah,
Done.
I think the 2 days leading up to the kill kind of made it that way more than the actual progression of the whole turn.
I think it was the realization that I don't need to see Twintania again in the morning that was like,
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Okay, Yeren, how you feeling, dude?
I'm feeling very happy and relieved, and I had never done something like this, but I'm really happy I got the chance to do it, and it was a really nice 2 weeks, almost.
It was nice 2 weeks.
Uh,
A nice 2 weeks.
I mean, it was hard at some points, but I did enjoy it. Like,
Okay.
and the ending was really nice.
Okay, it was very nice. Oh, Yuna, how you feeling?
I feel relaxed that it's finally over. And I'm pretty happy with the achievement we got.
Yeah, I mean that's an awesome achievement. I mean, we're seeing names on the board that are different than they have been in the last, I don't know, forever tiers, except for one. You know, Legend coming back in his own way. The Legend, the Crezia, unnamed group. They came back since they haven't been around since I think what was it, Gordius? But,
Yeah, long time.
yeah, I think it was Gordius.
Yeah, gorgeous, exactly.
But all right. So the follow up to this, while doing progression, you guys feel wonderful right now, great, relaxed, and everything else. How did you guys feel going throughout prog? Like, were you at like a high point sometime after you got past nailed, and it dropped down all the way to the floor, and then it kind of came back up right at the clear? Or tell me how that went for you guys, and whoever feels most confident to answer that, I guess.
Well, I can say, I was just gonna say that we actually got to Bahamut on day one, just at the end of day one raid. So like the first day was really fast paced for us, and we didn't stop pretty much. But then once we reached Bahamut, the progress is really trio by trio. So it maybe one trio by day we got perfect and nailed it and found out the mechanics. It was like really good progress for us, and it made us like hyped for the next day. It was only when we got to like the last 2 phases where it really slowed down, and that's when it got really grindy and stuff like that. So overall, the first week was really good and fast paced, and it was the last week that was really grindy and I had to slog through it.
Okay. You guys all kind of harp on that the same?
Yeah, exactly. It was really due to the nature of the turn being so long. It made it that the second half of progression was a lot more difficult and tense because in order to do progression, people had to play perfectly for long periods of time to even get to the point that we're trying to progress. And that was a bit more stressful, but it was still, it's part of progression, and we all enjoyed that. That's why we're in this kind of group.
Yeah. Awesome. Man, it's so nice to hear positive words towards this fight. It's been so depressing over the last couple of weeks.
It's a great fight, to be honest, I think.
Yeah. I mean, that's great, too. I mean, people... I think that's just one of those things. After you cleared a fight, you start to say, "Oh, well, this is a great fight," but while you're going up in progression, you're just like, I don't know.
It
No,
was fine to
think-
progress
yeah,
also,
I
I
think we
believe,
all-
as
yeah, we
people
all
said,
enjoyed the
day-by-day
progression.
basis.
You guys
Yeah.
all enjoyed it?
Absolutely.
I think it was fine because you could see the end was in sight, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Whereas when you were doing A4, like back in the day, you kind of couldn't see the fucking light at the end of the tunnel. So this fight was fine in my opinion.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So you guys aren't saying this out of like a masochistic kind of enjoyment. You're saying this as you actually enjoy doing the content.
No, it was really fun because really every phase was unique. I mean, it was kind of rehashed mechanics, but the way they put them together was really well thought out, and it made every phase progression feel almost like an entire new fight on its own.
Mm-hmm.
So even though it was a single fight, it really felt like quite a lot more than doing the same boss over and over again.
Okay.
Also, I like the setting a lot more than Alexander and Omega so far, like in terms of music, visuals, stuff like that, Bahamut, and stuff
Of
like
course,
that. So
the nostalgia, of course.
this, that, and I don't know, it feels a lot better, I believe, than robot shit or whatever. It's like
The robot steampunk crap.
exactly.
No, I thought Alexander was good. It had its moments. It was just a lot of robots. Yeah, I think that was it. Too many robots. They could have done something a little bit different. And I'm not a big fan of goblins. I think that's the only reason it didn't play out, because the goblins kind of made it not as interesting. But anyways, let's start getting into some of these questions here. And I'll ask them, and you guys can decide who you think should answer them. And you guys all feel confident in talking about all these questions, right? There's no one that's like, I'm going to hide back and behind everyone. Who's going to hide back out of the six of you? Is it Yuna or is it Yurin?
I think it's you.
I think it's the two that didn't show up.
It's the dude that didn't show up.
Good point.
Oh, Jesus. All right. So let me ask this first question here. And this is kind of you discussing you guys going in to be a competitive group. When you were actually going through and you're like, hey, I'm going to make this group and everything else, the goal was we're going to be a world race group, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. When you were doing it, was there a point to where you were thinking, hey, like, did you think, like, when you started, like, hey, we have a shot no matter what? As soon as you start rating, you're like, we could win world first. Or was there a point, like, we're going to just try our hardest and we might get it? And then maybe at some point you decided, oh, holy shit, we might actually get, like, high
You
up
have to always believe you're in the race.
Exactly. Well, they said.
100%. Until the kill video is out there, you're 100% in the race. So that's where you just need to keep believing and pushing.
Okay. So when you started, you're like, we're getting first. And that's just your thought.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was the goal, yeah.
When they're probably at the same point we were, but when the world first video, when they killed it, we were already wiping to Enrage, and I assumed that they were like at the same point. So I mean, we were always in the race.
Right. They just kind of got the clean run before you guys got the clean run.
Yeah, they must have been more consistent, so they deserved it.
Yeah, 100%.
And the clever Exaflare strategy, I guess. is what
JP
they
Peng,
have.
okay.
JP.
Yeah, I think the Exaflare strat helped them a lot because we had a lot of wipes to Exaflares, like one person missteps and it's a wipe. And since it takes like 18 minutes to get there, like that's a lot of wasted time if you die.
Yeah, huge amount. 18 minutes.
Yeah.
That's not an exaggeration.
And that's if you get there every time, of course.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. All right. So when you guys, I guess to follow that up, when you saw them get world first, and you're like, hey, they got world first. Did you get discouraged at all? Or were you like, we don't care, we're still going to keep pushing?
Mm,
Well,
you go ahead.
the appearance we gave to ourselves was that like it doesn't matter, we need to keep pushing. But the way we played that day showed a bit otherwise, I would say. Like, so even though we didn't quite communicate that, of course it's a disappointment because, we had the goal of world first and we were so close and we were like, okay, we'll wake up in the morning and kill it. And then we woke up in the morning and they had just cleared it. So that day we ended up not killing it because I think we were just, demoralized, demotivated a bit. So that's why it took also like the day after we came back and then we had no problem clearing it afterwards.
Okay. On that second day, like when you guys actually got the clear, how long were you raiding before that clear happened on that day?
I think like 6 hours, right?
Yeah. From 5 ST to 11 ST, I believe. Like it died 11.
But it wasn't a lot of polls. I think that day out of maybe 13 polls, 11 times were to gold Bahamut. So we were very consistent that day. So it was a long time, but it was very few polls. So every time we got there, it was just a matter of getting there and no one making mistake at the last phase to get the kill.
Okay. All right.
But the play level on the second day was a lot higher than the day of the world first.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. And I guess I can ask this towards Yuna, except for I forgot which question you wanted to answer. I think it was Kiko, right? You had a question you wanted to answer here. Was it
about egos and tempers?
which one?
The one about egos and tempers.
Oh, okay.
Things like that.
Perfect. We'll get to that in a second. I'm going to ask this towards Yuna, since Yuna hasn't had a lot of time to talk here. Okay, Yuna, so in your opinion, what gave you guys like the biggest advantage during progression that kind of set you apart maybe from some other groups that were racing? Was there anything in particular that gave you that advantage?
Personal opinion is like we figured out mechanics and planned them pretty quickly, and yeah, that's about it, I think.
You guys were really good at figuring out the mechanics after you guys saw it.
Yeah, there was no mechanic
yeah.
that really struggled.
Well, I think-
On.
The main one to point out is Grand Octet, and from what we've been hearing, like a lot of groups were struggling to that for a long time, or at least what they gave out on social media was that Grand Octet was RNG, and they were trying like that's the 8 Dragon Dive Bomb, by the way, if people don't know what it is, and they were trying like Mario Kart strats or random strats. But after one night of pulling, we actually figured out the pattern and the strategy for this one trio, and I think that put us a bit ahead of other groups because we were actually able to get there and then execute an actual plan to beat the mechanic.
Okay. So I actually saw the Mario Kart strat. So you guys had a different strat that worked, you think, a lot better.
Yeah, we actually figured out the mechanic. Like there was an actual pattern that other groups weren't seeing because they didn't either give it the chance or just they put it down to RNG from the first pull. But there was an actual strat to that trio from the start.
Okay. All right. So let's see what we got next here. So with a lot of other, actually, you know what? This question, I don't know. I guess we can ask it. I don't know if you guys really we can answer this. It sounds kind of like a weird question, but with other groups like Elysium and Anger competing in the world race, what do you think was the reason that they didn't get the first or second? Was that all luck, or was that something that you thought that was there that maybe they didn't have? I think that sounds like a weird question to ask. I don't know.
Sounds like a question Lath should answer.
Because me and Yuna left, right? So that's why they...
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Is that it?
Maybe.
I gotcha. Yeah, no, this seems like one of those a question that you can't answer without sounding cocky, or like that you have any kind of good answer, like a bait question.
But at the end of the day, you just have to answer it that it's about execution and mechanic solving. That's the only way you pull ahead in a fight like this. So
exactly,
we got plans out straight away and we executed them out pretty quickly. Whereas maybe they struggled a bit more on certain things.
Yeah, and of course there's other stuff that came up. I don't think Elysium really had they went 1 week, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and I think a lot of and that same thing with Anger, they went kind of like they went more than 1 week, but then they had stuff that kind of cut into their time a lot too. So there's lots of things that are out there, but in the end, the only people who can really answer those questions properly would be Elysium and would be Anger themselves.
Yeah, true.
So absolutely, yeah.
All right, so let's go on to this next question here. Because of how long it took to clear and how many wipes you went through, roughly how much gil do you think you collectively spent on food and infusions?
At least 200 million, at least. Like collectively, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was 30 mil for me.
I mean, everyone spent about like 20 to 30 million, but in comparison to the even patches progression, this is a relatively very cheap progression because there is no gear to buy. So
I will say this though. I still had all my pots of food left from Angered, so I would like to thank them for the pots of food.
thank you, Angert, for the pots and food.
Oh, Jesus. I'm pretty sure they give their welcome to you.
Yeah.
Leaf's out there trying to trying to bait him. Okay. So let's see. This is a really good question because a lot of people who are doing world first, a lot of people who do just raiding in general, they kind of wear out. Their focus just drops off like that. So with your team, how do you guys maintain focus for like a very long period of time for prog? Do you have any like tips or tricks that you could give to anyone that might be doing something like that?
Motivation.
Just motivation?
I mean, we have the goal, and we all committed to go to the goal. So
okay,
we didn't have to like hype each other up. Everyone had the mindset to just get to the end of it. So
I think as long as you're seeing progression each day, that will hype you up. Like seeing something new will get you hyped up, and it'll like when you get up the next morning, you know you're gonna like keep progressing. So,
did you ever
like,
have?
We never really.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Go on.
No. You go ahead.
No, I was gonna say like we never really hit like a brick wall. So do you know what I mean? Like the wave never stopped. So we just carried on basically.
I got you. That's what I was going to ask. If you guys ever had a day of regression or any kind of like slow day that you felt like, hey, we're not really going anywhere today or anything like that, or was it all forward every day?
Maybe at the end, but
yeah, our worst day was the day of the world first. I would
Okay.
say.
Yeah.
All right. So really, you guys don't have to like take a break for 5 minutes every like lockout and just kind of, you know, do a bit of yoga or something. You guys are just like,
we took a lot of breaks actually.
We should let Yuna answer that question.
She gets told.
Sure.
I mean, I felt like we took kind of too much breaks.
Okay. Too many breaks?
Because like,
go ahead.
You only need like 5 minutes to eat. Like, but like some people took like 1 hour ish. I didn't really like it honestly.
Okay, all right. So, 5 minutes to eat. Okay, I can understand the hour part, right? That kind of gets crazy. So tell me what your breaks look like. How did you guys do your breaks?
Mostly when someone DC'd or something. But on a serious note, we had like a lunch break, dinner break, like usually for 30 to 40 minutes. And then just in between, like when someone had to go to the bathroom or whatever, then we took like 5 or 10 minutes or something, just depending.
There was also a rule that Mark said that if you need a break, just say, and no one's going to hold it against you. So if you feel you're playing bad or you're losing concentration, we were told just say you want a break, and we'd have it.
Exactly.
So I think that
the
really
rule was we didn't have scheduled break except for dinner, and that whenever people if someone was hungry or wanted to like take 15 minutes, that just I would rather them take the break and feel better than there's no point playing with someone who's hungry because then their brain is just dumb, you know. So the rule was just we'll take the break if you need the break, and for dinner we just kind of align what time is good for everyone, and we try to take half an hour to an hour. Some people had to cook food, wanted the shortest breaks possible, which was always like, oh, we're taking too many breaks, but people need the breaks. So you have both sides of the story here. But for me, it was always like, if people need the break, let them take the break. They will play better taking the break than just pushing them to go more.
Okay, Yuna, did you hold it against anyone when they asked for a break?
I mean, I complained a bit, but like not too much, not strongly. Like I was okay, yeah.
Okay.
You could hear her sigh in the background when somebody went AFK or something.
Okay.
We called it the AFK train because somebody would type "be right back" and then somebody else go, "Okay, I'm going," and then it'd just be a train from there. So
That's how it usually goes. What happens when someone didn't come back on time? Like if they're like a few minutes behind, did you have any of that, or was everybody on time, prompt?
Well, there was also a rule.
That was
There was
the
also a rule that like no one should be ever late because it's very tilting when people are waiting
Mhm.
because people could be taking a longer break themselves, but they're just here waiting for someone to come back. So
I-
it did happen a few times. Yeah, go ahead, Leif.
Wasn't it just Fire? He was like the only late person, wasn't he?
Yeah, Fire was late quite sometimes.
Did
But
you-
also often, for example, our paladin who took the time for the dinner, which I have no problem with, would often say, okay, like we would take, say, half an hour or 40 minutes, but then he would come back and say, I need 10 minutes more. But that wouldn't be really being late because he did warn us, so that's okay.
Okay, I gotcha. Did you get Fire a lot of shit for showing up late? Like, what would you do?
I mean, not only for that.
Okay. You guys, was he like the troublemaker of the group?
Maybe.
Maybe.
he can't defend himself at the minute. So
Yeah, I guess that's true. All right, so how many hours did you guys ever go every single day? Was it a standard kind of like 16-hour day?
I believe so.
Yeah, all the way up until I think 3 days before the clear, we were doing full days, and then some people had to go back to work, so we had to work around the work hours after that.
Okay.
We just didn't feel like we had to tweet about it. Just we're doing our thing, you know. And if you have to cut down hours, you cut down hours, but we keep going.
Was that like a burn? Did you just do like a little burn there, Mark?
No, I'm just saying.
Well, you don't even have a Twitter, so there you go.
Exactly.
People don't follow Blacklist. Well, they follow Blacklist now. You guys got to get a Twitter for it. You got to get a logo too. For Stardom, what would your logo be if you guys had a logo?
A star.
It would just be a star. That's it?
Sounds good. Maybe.
Okay,
we're not very creative.
that's fine. Just have it be me of a picture holding up a star. All right, I'm just right there. There's your logo.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. All right, let's see. This is a good follow-up question to that. So when you guys were doing Ultimate, how much like off-topic talk was there? Were you guys like talking about TV shows? Were you guys talking about like I don't know? Were you talking about anything that's going on in life? Like, oh man, I hate my mom. Anything like that? That's Twintania.
Phase 1 was the chit-chat phase because no one gave a shit, and then when Nail started, like people had to focus because things could easily go bad in phase 2. But every time we were in phase 1, we were just I mean, there wasn't a specific subject. I guess it was like multiple things. It's 12 days, so
Right.
Just general banter, TV shows, other people, groups, drama. You know, the usual chit chat and raid.
I gotcha. So you guys would have 3 minutes of chit chat per pool.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, then you would tell us to shut the fuck up.
Yeah, because often the chit chat would like overlap a bit on Nail, and then that would wipe really quickly, and then people will realize, okay, we can't talk during Nail because people need to really pay attention to what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you guys wipe on Twintania a lot, or did you just get to that point to where you could be blindfolded and do it?
Yeah, like
we wiped a few
blindfold.
times, but like to be honest, but not that much.
Like on your clear day, did you guys wipe the Twintania?
I don't think so.
I don't think
maybe-
so, no.
Maybe like
I think
once or
shortest pull was like Octet, I think, on the clear day. So it was
Yeah.
pretty good.
Oh, really? You guys had solid pulls every single time?
Yeah,
Yeah, like I said,
that
well-
Sunday was really good.
Like out of 13 polls, we had like 11 to gold Bahamut, and 2 were like Octet or around there.
Okay, nice, dude. Okay. So here's the question for Kiko here. How difficult is it to keep personal ecos and tempers in check to ensure the group, kind of stays together for extended hardcore progression? Was there any high risk situations that caused tempers to really flare up? And if so, how did you diffuse them?
Overall, I think it can be very difficult to keep egos in check, right? Especially during hardcore progression. especially if you do it 16 hours per day, especially if you haven't played together before. But, and this is where you need to take your hat off, like for this group, because it was super calm during progress, right? There were no real big arguments, fights, or whatever, stuff like that, you know,
Mhm.
that you might know from other groups, like, for example, my previous group.
Okay.
So this was, for me, right, being one of the new guys, this was really impressive. So thank you to everyone, but this was really, really cool. And I think it's probably best like to stay humble, but
Mhm.
confident in your own ability when trying to accomplish something big with like 7 other people, especially if you don't really know them.
Mhm.
Because if people let their cockiness get to them too much, right,
Mhm.
they could just end up falling really deep. And especially if playing along very good players,
Mhm.
like some do, and if that amplifies their cockiness even more, it's just gonna backfire in the end. So I'm like really glad how it worked out in terms of atmosphere, and things like that. So
We
this
did
was really great.
we did discuss this before raid started. I mean, we made it clear like everyone here, everyone in the group has an ego, and to play at the level we play, like you must have an ego. But we all agreed that like we need to keep egos aside in progression, and that if someone says something to someone else, it's not about like questioning his ability to play or putting his ego into question, but it's more about what's the best thing to do at this point to help progression move faster. And I think, like Hiko said, we behaved pretty well with each other during progression.
Okay. So no one was like starting to fall behind a little bit, and then you guys were kind of talking behind his back, like, man, I don't know about this guy. Fucking every single time he messes up.
Just fire hands every time. That guy. Fuck that guy.
Very good job.
Well, we can talk crap about him. He's not here. Who cares?
Dude, it's like a fucking fridge on my back, man. Like, seriously. Dragged him through Ultimate. Like, I don't know.
he was like a fridge you had to carry through Ultimate. Nice.
Pretty much.
I
I mean, he's not here to defend himself, is he, so?
Okay. Let's talk. Let's move on a little bit to the difficulty of this fight. So this is like the general question. This is like one of the big things. What do you guys find is like the hardest part of this fight? What was the most difficult thing? Not like the mechanic, but overall in general. Was it like the consistency? Was it like going in there and just memorizing the mechanics? Like what was difficult about it?
Being consistent, I think definitely because you play for so long, right? 16 hours per day. So you might autopilot the earlier phases, fuck something up. So I really think consistency overall, once you figure out the mechanics, is one of the hardest parts in there.
Okay. Would you guys all agree with that?
Yeah.
Because the fight's so long, the further you progress into it, there's certain points where you can just lose a pull. So you have to try and like keep motivated, even if you do like throw away 15 minutes. Like you just need to keep on at it. Like, that's, I think we were really good at that. Like, go on.
Yeah, like that was the harder part because we didn't struggle on the mechanics. Like we figured out mechanics and strats really quickly. So I would say our personal biggest hurdle was really consistency and getting to the part we want to progress as often as we would have liked.
Okay. Do you guys like this style of fight where you're having to do a lot of different attempts and being consistent in order to actually get any kind of progression? Or do you like kind of like shorter fights that maybe you can kind of get through a little bit quicker?
I guess it's a personal question rather than a group question. But for me, I absolutely love this kind of fight. So
okay.
I don't know about everyone else, but at least for me, I enjoyed that it was a long fight and that the mechanics were not very forgiving at times, and I felt that was a well-tuned turn.
Okay. Everybody else feel the same way?
Yeah, I think it was really nice fight, and even though it was long, it wasn't, repetitive or anything. It was always new stuff and nice phases and everything.
Okay.
And it wasn't too difficult for the length of the fight.
All right. Yeah. See, that's always easy to say after you clear a fight too, right?
No, I mean like.
When you were doing it, were you like,
If-
"Hey, this is not too difficult"?
Well,
Through
if-
prog, we were all saying that we were enjoying the turn, and no one really. I mean, we were expecting easier. We did not think Square Enix would come with a turn that difficult. I mean, in the sense that when I say that difficult, I mean I don't believe like a lot of groups will actually clear this before they get more gear. But it was, even though it was more difficult than we thought it would be, we still very much enjoyed it.
Okay. All right. So let's ask this question here, and I'm gonna ask Yuna. I want to see if you can answer this for me. Which mechanic took you the longest to prog through, and why did it take you the longest to prog through?
Longest, probably the golden Bahamut phase.
Okay.
Like for me, like, because the golden Bahamut phase, it required to us to rotate our mitigation really wisely, so we have enough mitigation to survive during one of us.
Mm-hmm.
So if we had like one mitigation missing, it's likely to be a wipe.
Okay.
And yeah, that was the hardest part for me.
Who missed the mitigation the most often?
Me.
Okay. All right. Let's see. The next question is here. That being the most difficult one. Okay, so let's go into what one was actually your favorite. Not because it was difficult or because it was easy, but just enjoyable. Which one was the most enjoyable mechanic throughout the fight? And this is anybody who wants to answer.
Probably when Nail and Twin were on the battlefield together.
Really?
Probably because it was the most hectic moment. It was like you had to deal with both at the same time, and I don't know. For me, that was the coolest thing they could have done, is put them both on the field at the same time, and they did
Especially
it.
how the twisters
agree.
blended with the floor.
Exactly.
The twisters on that phase can become so hard to see depending on your camera angle. So
And the ranged have to stack on Nail when twisters have just gone out from the melee, so it's like just a massive like cluster of just, I don't know, a shit show. So for me, that's my favorite phase because it was chaos, but it was cool at the same time.
Okay. Do any of you guys have any other favorite phases in there? Or was that all it? You guys all like say that?
I think
I
mean, that
agree
one
with
was
Ben
nice.
overall.
I think Octet was very well designed as a mechanic.
But
It was, I think, because the way you needed to figure it out was not like, it was not a mechanic that someone could get to once, record it, and be okay. This is how we're gonna do it, and that would be the last solution. So you had to sample it multiple times in order to really get a grasp of what it did. And I felt that was a nice type of mechanic to involve in a raid.
Okay. All right. So there's been a lot of racers who actually have been complaining about, the hardest one, and we've seen it everywhere about all the RNG based mechanics near the very end of the fight. Are they just talking about Exaflare?
There's
No,
no
they-
RNG.
They were talking about
What
Octet
RNG?
apparently.
Oh, are they?
I think
Yeah.
they based it off some NA people tweeting about RNG, but they were tweeting about the Octet, and then people figured out the Octet was not the RNG, so they assumed that it must be something in the last phase. But there is no RNG.
So
In the fight, you have to recognize the patterns and execute the mechanics, but
okay.
there is no RNG in the sense that like you will wipe because RNG was bad. No, there's nothing like that.
Okay. So basically, it was just an overblown, over-exaggerated
like,
sentiment.
Momo was memeing, I think, on his Twitter to see if people would like catch on to it. I think that's what it was, and people did on Reddit. So
Yeah. No.
congrats to them.
It went everywhere. People said a lot of stuff about it, and they took it to heart. But that's what happens when you shitpost, man. You're gonna cause these little things to happen. People are gonna think that you're just complaining a lot, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. So you guys think that pretty much there's no really excessive randomness throughout the fight. It's pretty much you just learn the patterns and you can figure it out. And once you have it down, you can knock it out.
There is randomness within the mechanics, but
But it's that
It's-
randomness
it's-
which allows different strats, though, and that's the good thing. 'cause
Exactly,
watching the different
exactly.
videos, you see the different strats which teams have already used. So I think it's okay RNG.
It's not like here's a random part of the mechanic and there's almost no way to clear it.
No, there's nothing like that.
Okay. All right. So throughout the fight, if you did have to say, man, this part is not the hardest, but just the most BS. This mechanic was just stupid. You hated it. You despised it every single time you saw it. Was there any like that?
Exaflare.
Exaflare. Yeah, Exaflare was a very troll mechanic. Very troll mechanic. Because after 17 minutes of like very hard mechanics, it's something very easy on paper, but the pressure of being there makes people just mess up, you know. And
Yeah, it's just the pressure making it difficult, I think.
it's the easiest mechanic, but at the time it comes, it makes it seem like a big hurdle to overcome.
So a lot of people have, like, on our last show, I mean, we just had it on Saturday. Everybody was like, what's Exaflare? Where's the safe spot for Exaflare? Did you guys...
The safe spot is in your heart. You just have to believe and run to it.
You have to believe and run. Close your eyes and run.
Just...
Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
Okay. You just hope you hope you're just lucky with it. There's like... Tell everyone how Exaflare works real quick.
I mean, basically, there's 6 AoEs that are going to spawn in a line, and they're going to go 2 at a time at different time intervals. So we're going to call 2 of them number 1, 2 of them number 2, and then 2 of them number 3. And if you're lucky, there's going to be number 1 and number 3 next to each other. So that leaves it like when number 1 passes, you can just go behind it, and there's a big gap to cross in between. And if you're unlucky, then you have to cross between 3 and 2 or 2 and 1. And that makes it slightly more difficult, but in the end, the mechanic itself is not hard. You just have to dodge AoEs. It's basically raiding 101. Like, you see a circle on the floor, don't be in it when it happens. So it's just really, it's more about the pressure of being there than the mechanic itself. Like, any group who would see the mechanic once would understand how to deal with it. It's not a hard mechanic. It's just people mess up.
Okay, I gotcha. Yeah. All right, so let's see. Okay, let's actually talk about, we hit on it a little bit, but do you guys, let's just get a straight answer from everybody here. Do you think 20 minutes is too long for a fight?
No, not with the amount of RP that's in there. I don't think so.
Because it's not a straight boss burn. It's like lots of intermissions and downtime and just doing mechanics. So
right.
Yeah.
I think if a whole raid tier would be based on just 20-minute fights, and then yes, but not for a single fight. It's okay.
Like, for us, we enjoyed it, but I think for the game in general, I think it was too long of a fight, because this was going to make it very difficult for most groups to clear it. The fact that it's that long, because the phases alone are not that difficult, but to actually get there all the time and practice, that is very difficult. So
right.
I think if they made it shorter, it would be more accessible to more groups. But but even though we enjoyed this kind of content, I think our opinion, like as type of group we are, doesn't represent the general community.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a good point too. You guys you're not the community. You guys are like a very small part of the community that does this content, and you love going really hard at it. The majority of the... Go ahead.
And we're really glad that Square Enix actually provided like fight to cater to really the players that want this kind of content. So,
so, and
I feel like maybe next time it will not be as difficult because of how many groups would clear it for this tier.
I am about 99.9999% sure it's going to be easier next time. It's going to be a shorter fight. They might make it 16 minutes or something. Like, it's just going to be less of a fight.
Does it have to be though?
You know, that's a good question. Here's the thing. Do they care more about what the fight brings as like something that raiders can go do? Or do they care more about like getting people excited?
Here's the thing, right? In my opinion, this when it's relative content, like now, is for the, like, only a few groups probably going to clear it. Like it's for them, but it's not as if that groups who struggle with it can't go back in like they did with the old Savage Curl, you know, in the future. So like it's still content for them. It's just not content for now. So I don't think they need to make something easier. Like I think this is fine the way it is.
Yeah, I mean that's a really good point. I mean the second part to that is, you know, we keep saying this is content for, you know, the top 1% of people in the game, but this is really content for people who enjoy watching difficult content too. We've already seen that a lot of the community actually enjoys seeing people do this content.
Yeah, people are behind 5150, aren't they? Like they love watching that stream.
So famous now. 5150, they came out of nowhere. They're superstars. They're the superstars of Twitch right now. I'm curious to see how that lifespan and that progression for the stream works too, but it's awesome to see what has happened.
Yeah, and I can really relate to like the community taking part of progression, even though it's just through a video. Like seeing how, I mean, I don't know if I should call them hardcore, but they went quite a lot of hours. So seeing how a group like this kind of progresses through raid, maybe for them is quite new. So
yeah,
so it's good that they are streaming. Yeah,
I mean they are a hardcore group. They have placed, you know, in the world race plenty of times. I mean, not in the top 3 or anything, but they've been around. This time they just decided to stream as well, and so you could actually see some of the world prog thinking go on. You couldn't understand it, but you could kind of see what was happening. They would have like graphs that would come up there that you hear the discussion. You can see that they're kind of planning stuff out, and then it's just started a whole community of people observing what they were doing. And I think that has helped a lot. So people don't have to clear this fight for it to still be good for the game.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
Okay, so go ahead.
Sorry. Another thing is like, what would the community really value a dungeon in expert roulette over this? Like, I think you're fucking crazy if you value a dungeon in expert roulette over a fight like this. That's just my opinion.
That would be depressing. Yeah, no, this was definitely a better choice. I'm glad they didn't put an extra dungeon in. But the thing is, do you think this took more work than a dungeon, or did it take about the same amount of work as a dungeon?
The assets are already there. Like, I don't know. If it did, it's worth it, in my opinion. But that's like my opinion.
Because yeah, you have to create like graphics, you have to create the area, you have to design new bosses still, and you still have to make those mechanics, even though you don't have to think really deep into making them difficult. You have to add in new gear, which they could just remodel the gear they have and put golden fireworks shooting off around it, right?
True.
And so, I mean, it's good. It seems like this might have taken the same amount of time as a dungeon might have taken. I mean, I wouldn't say it takes less work just because of all... If you guys going through the fight, do you feel like they've thought a lot about this fight when they made it? How all the mechanics mesh together, the difficulty, and making it all work?
They must have. They must have. Because really, to get this kind of quality out of combining mechanics, it doesn't just come quickly. Like they put a lot of thought into it. That's why I said like I really appreciate that they made this kind of fight, because they didn't just half-ass it. Sorry for the word, but they actually. Really...
You said ass. The show's over. No.
Wow.
But you know what I mean. They really put a lot of effort into combining Twintanya, Nail, and Bahamut to a cohesive 20-minute fight, and that was really great.
Yeah. And so I'm proud. How when's the last time you could say like, man, I am proud of Square Enix? And you're just like, man, I am so proud of what they did here. And you're just like filled with joy.
Midas. For me, yes, since Midas, exactly.
Yeah. I mean,
since Midas.
The game's great. There's great things about it. They do really great with nostalgia. They do great with, you know, imagery and everything else. But like, this is solid, 100% great. And so it makes it really exciting to see that Square Enix is, hey man, don't worry, we still got you. That's what it felt like. So, okay, sorry, I'm getting on this whole little tangent. I have to ask this question because it's asked a lot of times. Do you guys feel like there should be checkpoints?
No.
No.
It would be a good nerf, but we don't want it to be nerfed, so no.
Okay.
I think an appropriate nerf maybe would be to put checkpoints without changing the mechanics,
Mhm.
because I think then more people would clear it, and they would still have to enjoy the mechanics as they were intended, even though it would make it easier. But hopefully they don't nerf it like that.
The thing is, up until the ad phase, like each phase is like linked to teaching you mechanics and stuff that you're going to use before you get to the last one, like where you place your Neuralink. So it all fits. Like, don't get me wrong, it's tedious as fuck doing Twintana or Nail over and over again, but I think checkpoints, it would just water down the fight too much.
Okay.
I think someone in the group, I don't remember who, but if you remember, just I'll give the credit to them. Said that a good checkpoint would be that when you do beat Nail and because Nail and Twintania, when you beat them in the first two phases, you don't actually kill them. They jump away at 0%. But when they come back before Gold phase, you actually kill them. Like in the battle log, it says that you defeat Twintania and Nail. And someone said that a good checkpoint would be that when you actually do kill them, that you can start at Bahamut and skip phase 1 and 2. And I think, that would be actually cool, because by the time you progress to that phase, you must have done Twintania and Nail so many times that, I think it wouldn't make it too relevant at that point to put a checkpoint after the first two phases.
Right. Okay. That's not a bad idea. I'm still against it. But if you had to put a checkpoint in, I can see that making sense.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a checkpoint that like you reach it and you're there. You'd have to reach much further in the fight to get a checkpoint earlier in the fight, basically.
Yeah, fuck that. Stop being pussies, just do the fucking fight, man.
Or do what Lace says.
Okay, I gotcha. So here is a good rounding question on that difficulty. So you guys have done Ultimate. You've had this whole rush, this whole high of doing it. I'm going to ask you this first. Have you guys gone back to Omega at all?
No.
No?
I just did 1 and 2, and that's it.
How did you
I did
feel?
my weekly quiz today.
How did it feel
well,
doing that?
1 and 2 aren't exactly exciting, right?
Right.
So
No.
I just went on the Dragoon because I wanted accessories.
Mhm.
Well, it's quite boring, obviously, but
Is it even more boring than it was before? About the same. It's hard to get
Probably.
lower.
Here's
Just
the thing, right?
in Savage, you just have your brain turned off like at all times,
But-
and you still do the fight.
It's like
Yeah.
this, right? If we get like the people who are happy with this content, like if we get this, who gives a fuck about the other raid? Like seriously.
Exactly. Like now
as
we're
long-
more like...
As
Yeah,
long as
exactly.
this content is here, then that portion of the community is happy, aren't they? So like they can do whatever they want with the other raid. Like they can tune it up or they can tune it down. Like this is probably what people will start going for. Like they'll still go for the other one, but like this is will be the big thing if they carry on.
Exactly. I agree with Laith. I think that now, like, the hardcore groups, if they had to choose, if like people had to take time off work for one of the raids, it wouldn't be even patches, it would be the odd patches. Because I think that for the world progression groups, it's much more enjoyable because it's not just like O1S, have the groups one-shot it. So like, since when do you one-shot a raid turn? Like blind, going in the first time and you kill it.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a big disappointment, I think, for most groups that the raid quality had sunken to that level, basically. So really glad that these kind of turns are being released now.
Yeah. So here's the question then, because that was kind of what I was going to follow up with. I was like, hey, when you go in and you actually do the next tier, the next Savage, it's not going to feel great. It's not going to feel challenging at all. But that's not a horrible thing, because you're not going to have to you don't really even have to schedule off more than one day, anyways.
Well,
if you're going to do the world race.
The race is like, no matter the content, the race is still a race, isn't it? Like you can only compete against what you can compete against, can't you? So it is what it is.
Yeah. I mean, and you guys, anyone who wants to do it probably could do it. They could say, hey, well, for the even patches, we're going to take off 1 to 2 days of work, and then we'll actually save up most of the other days for the other content.
Yeah, then they do a Guardius.
Yeah, then they do a Guardius. Then you lost it. You just, the wrong kind of gamble, man. What can you do?
Rip.
I mean, you guys could all just be prepared to quit your jobs. Right? Oh, jeez. Yeah, but no, it's definitely interesting to see that. And I want to see, because the world race, I'm going to tell you, tracking this race, I've had to put 3 fucking entries into that document in 2 weeks. when I did O1S or O1S, then O2S, then O3S, and O4S, that
It
was
was a
like
lot more.
non-stop.
What was that? Like on release day, I logged in and couldn't get into the zone, and then by the time I actually got in the fight, it was dead. I was like, "What the fuck is this content? Please, come on."
Yeah.
It was just horrific. But I mean, like, I don't know. Maybe I won't do the world race for normal Savage anymore.
Well, I just think it's the way they designed the fights is so different. Like back in second call and stuff, it was a lot of more like one-shot mechanics where if somebody failed a mechanic, the whole thing would wipe. But now you get turns where you get one person dead and it doesn't really matter for the rest of the fight. It's like, oh, that person doesn't need to be up for the next mechanic anyway, and blah blah blah. It just makes progressing like way easier, and that's what Savage has become now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's just the progress is like a lot more lenient towards like dying and wiping and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
One thing in this fight is they put a lot of mechanics where if you do have one person dead, you will likely die as a group. So you just get one shot, which is good and bad, like depending how you look at it.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to force Yuna to ask some of these questions because we haven't heard from Yuna in a while.
I agree.
All right. Yuna, you're going to answer some of these questions. If you can't answer it, that's okay. Just be like, I don't really know. And you can pass it off, but it's going to go to you first. Are you okay with that, Yuna?
Okay.
All right. So this question kind of goes towards streaming the content. This is straightforward. Did anyone that was actively streaming their prog impact the fight for you? Did you guys see a way that someone was actually dealing with the content and that kind of influenced how you guys were going to do it? Or did you guys ignore it completely?
No, people who were streaming were like we were ahead from the streamers, I think. Like they didn't affect us for progging.
Okay. So there's like nothing that was out there that was like, oh, I can pick up on this strategy because
I mean, and we didn't have time to like look someone else. Like we were busy progging ourselves.
you guys weren't watching streams while you were progging?
Of course,
No,
no.
like Yuna said, we were always ahead of the streams, this progression, so there was nothing really relevant for us.
How did sleeping go for you, by the way? On that like first couple of nights, did you guys get like full 8-hour sleeps, or did you guys have like a few days where you're like, oh, I can only sleep for a couple hours because I'm too excited to get back in there?
We slept full 8 hours every
At least,
day,
yeah, at least
and
8
I
hours.
didn't like it.
Of course, Yuna would complain, but
It was like 5 hours.
It was at least 8 hours and sometimes more. So it's we would ask like how long people needed to sleep, and we would respect that.
Yuna, do you provide like a healthcare plan for these guys or something? Because I mean, you're like trying to
I mean,
make
come
them
on,
unhealthy people.
You only need like, come on, 5 hours. That's enough, I think.
It depends on the person, right? Everyone has a different kind of sleep schedule and everything else. 5 hours, I just feel tired. Like the entire time I was raiding, I'd just be tired.
Yeah, I mean, the more you rest, the better you play. And just to give an example of that, the day we killed it, so I think it was the Sunday, from the Saturday from Sunday, Ben had to work, I think, the whole day. So there was almost like a 12, 13-hour break between Saturday and Sunday. And when we came back from that break, I think that was the longest break we had in progression was that day, the day before we killed it. And when we came back, I think that was, like I said, one of the best performances that we had during all of progression was that day.
That's awesome, man.
So that's a proof that like taking the time to sleep and relax does
Just
make
stay
you clear
healthy.
content faster. Exactly, it does make you actually play better, and it does help progression more than just keep pulling without like without sleeping or eating or any of that.
Did you guys drink energy drinks?
No.
Coffee.
No.
Coffee?
Nope.
Coffee.
Just Coke sometimes and lots of water.
Okay.
But
Awesome.
no Red Bull or anything.
Did you guys like eat like really quick microwave snack food, or did you guys have like really good food some days and quick food some other days? Or
That was something also. Everyone had to cook good meals, not like just eat.
Twinkies?
Yeah, because I mean, if you don't eat well, if you just you can't think well, you know. So it's important that people took the time to cook food. We had arguments about this in progression because wanted the 5-minute breaks and people wanted to take time to cook food and actually eat. And in the end, we always settled for people taking the time. So it is important to stay healthy.
Oh my god. Yeah. I don't think I could ever raid at a point to where I was not having 8 hours of sleep, like enough time to actually have a decent meal, and just be healthy. Like I don't see the other part is like I don't know if I could do it without having some sort of exercise involved as well. Like I feel like I would have to like go running for 30 minutes every single day at least, because your body, like I need those endorphins from raid, like being done with raiding. I have to go run and everything else, but
Your endorphins is a phase change, dude. You see that, you get hyped. Done.
you get high on the phase change. I got you.
Yeah.
Yuna's taking notes. Never take Frosty in your raid group.
Yeah.
30-minute break to work? Oh, hell no.
Hey man, I used to have like ice cream breaks for my raid back in the day.
Oh my god.
I'd be like, hey man, everybody, 10 minutes. You guys have to eat something that you are going to be happy with. You gotta go get an ice cream bar. You gotta go get like a treat or something. And then we'll come back and everybody's in a good mood. It didn't really take off the way that I wanted to, but I guess that's my career is ended now in world racing. What can I do? Okay, so the other part here is with streaming in general, do you think going into like another competitive tier, would you guys stream, or are you guys still in that mindset that you shouldn't stream your progression if you're planning to go for world first?
Personally, I wouldn't, but I don't know about other people.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
I don't know about Angered, for example. I'm gonna go ahead and doubt that they would stream their progress, and any other group probably wouldn't either on that level.
Mm-hmm.
The issue is like if you're taking it seriously and you want to win, you don't want to give advantages away to a competition. Like it's stupid if you're doing that. Like most raiders who want world first will value the achievement of getting that over like the people watching. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Over fame.
I know that people want to see, but like it's personal. Like you want that achievement. Like it's not about the publicity. Jordan.
Yeah, maybe also like to add on that. Basically, no one who does hardcore progression isn't competitive. Like someone who isn't competitive would not be doing hardcore progression. And if you're competitive, then what thrives you to do this kind of prog is to win. You want to win and you want to beat other people and compete. So it's not logical that you would have this kind of mindset and then at the same time stream the progression, which would help. If you're really like a world progression group, then you are ahead of the streamers, and if you are streaming, then you're giving away things that will make progression for other groups that are trying to catch up a lot easier. So they will catch up to you a lot faster if you do stream your progression.
Yeah, I mean the perfect strategy would be if there's a really hardcore group going and they're streaming it. All you got to do is be on a different time schedule, wake up when they're done, go through some of their streams, see how they did a couple of the mechanics at the very end of the video, their stream. Then you'll be like, oh, this is a good idea. And then you are 8 hours ahead of them because you figured out that strategy instantly instead of spending 8 hours on it. Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So this is what we got a lot of questions on, is in general with job comp and everything else. Because it's been an interesting tier because there wasn't like a set, like 8 jobs that had to be in every single clear. Although there were some that were static between all the different groups. For example, Dragoon and Ninja. Those can't be touched right now. But they did change out some of the casters and everything else. So in the end, what made you guys choose? What did you guys start off with when you were doing your comp? And what did you guys end with on the comp?
The same.
Exact same?
The comp,
Yes.
I believe the comp is completely irrelevant to clear the content. I mean, unless, of course, you go like to Scholar or to White Mage, or it's
Really?
not a fight. Because the DPS check is not what makes this fight difficult. It's just executing the mechanics. I believe almost any group composition that is 2 range, 2 melee, maybe not even that, 2 different healers and 2 different tanks, if they execute the mechanics, they can kill the fight.
Okay.
So, but when it comes to like world progression, like we did have some internal discussion about like Red Mage or Summoner, and I think Lath in the end said, and he was
Fuck
completely
Red Mage.
correct.
That's what
Yeah.
I said. Fuck Red Mage. That job is
Yeah, but-
garbage, mate.
To give him more credit than he's giving himself, he made a very valid point that he said, like, if this tier is going to be that stupid that if 3 people die or 4 people die, I can triple swiftcast trace them and we can recover like the last 2 tiers were, then it's going to be like a shit tier. And he was right. So we entered the turn expecting that if 3 people are going to die on a phase, it's most likely going to be a wipe, and that was actually the case. So a summoner that could raise, that had the single raise, had the same value as a red mage, except they did a lot more damage. So
Okay.
I don't think taking red mage for this kind of progression would have been more helpful.
So your concept on that is like, if people are dying and 3 people are dying, then there's no point to really even continue because you're probably not going to see that next mechanic anyways.
Exactly.
Well-
We assumed that the turn would be unforgiving to that level, and I think we were pretty correct on that.
What happened was, once I saw that, once you see some of the mechanics where you need like everyone alive, I don't even think a red mage would be able to get like that many people up, and the damage difference, like, I don't know, like it's just too high. Don't get me wrong, I don't hate red mage. Like, I think
You
it
just
needs
said a lot
bit
of stuff that made it sound like you hated
'Cause-
red mage, by the way.
Okay, I do hate red mage a little bit, but
Okay.
like, needs a bit of a buff. But just, I don't think red mage is a lock-in for like progression. Like, summoner is probably the most OP caster at the moment. The other 2 probably need looking at by Square Enix, especially black mage. Could do with some.
Summoner's
leveling.
pretty broken right now. I agree.
Broken. So should we nerf
Pretty
summoner?
No,
No,
should
no,
buff
no.
the other ones.
Okay. Okay.
They should. I mean, they should nerf the fucking range. That's what they should. No.
So what made you guys say, "Hey, I'm not going to take a bard, machinist, ninja dragoon"?
We
I mean, I
wanted
could have played
everyone.
machines.
We
Go
wanted
on.
everyone to play the job that they were most comfortable playing, and that's what we chose in the end, and we stuck to it throughout all of progression. It never held us back. Our comp never held us back.
Okay.
Call it
There was-
comfort picks or something, if that's the term for you. I don't know.
The comfort picks, like where you guys would just perform the best, and you figured you'd
Exactly.
get the most out of it. Okay.
And it was never something that held us back. Like we never got stuck on a phase or a mechanic saying, if we had a red mage here, or if we had a dark knight here, then we could pass it. No matter any kind of mechanic we reached, we had a good strat that worked with the comp we had. And really, like we said earlier, what held us back was just consistency and not the group position.
Okay. And that's a really awesome point to make. I mean, if people are really good at what they're doing, and if the fight is truly mostly just like mechanics,
It is mechanics, yes.
which a lot of people have kind of sort of complained about. Just to go off on a small tangent here, do you guys dislike a lot of mechanics, or do you guys enjoy more mechanics than DPS checks?
I enjoy more mechanics and DPS checks, but that again is not like a group opinion.
Because
I like both. I think.
Both, exactly. It has to be a good combination of both.
I think
Yeah,
A3S
it has
was like
to
the
be a good
perfect
mix.
fight.
A3S, the perfect fight. Yeah, yeah.
But for that sort of thing where it was enough mechanics that you had to deal with, but also you had to deal with the mechanics while doing quite good DPS. I think that was like the only fight they've ever made that pushed you to the limit in kind of like both ways a bit.
Mm-hmm. A3S, the golden
At least
days,
early
man.
on. Yeah.
Yeah, that. Well, later on it was nerfed just simply by people getting gear. It was a quick nerf. Like,
Yeah,
this
exactly.
fight's going to be a long time before it gets nerfed with gear, which is kind of interesting because people are going to struggle on it all the way until the next part where we get into the next tier and people get however many eye levels they're going to get more to do this content, which is, cool because people who are really good at the game, but they can only raid like 3 hours a day or something, they can still get this fight down before it gets, that natural nerf on it.
Yeah, if they are consistent as a group, yes.
If they're horrible
It's
people,
really-
they can't
it's-
get their shit together and they fight and argue all the time, they probably
I
won't.
think the problem with this fight is that you are the weakest link in the group will really bring the group down because, like Leigh said, some mechanics you need everyone alive. So if someone keeps dying to something, he will hold up progression. So
Okay.
you need a group where everyone is consistent and able to consistently execute mechanics. Otherwise, like it's gonna get to a point where certain people in the group will tilt, saying like, "Oh, I never mess up, but this guy messes up all the time," and then either they will leave or the other guy will get kicked, and then the whole static drama begins. So I think it's important that people like stay calm and really try to help people who are struggling, maybe explain things in different ways, or to really get people to be consistent at the phases, because that's the only way they would be able to clear this kind of content.
Yeah, because before people could be just kind of good and meme their way through the content, right?
Yeah, or someone dying would never be an issue.
Right.
So in this turn, I think like some of the trios or the mechanics, like you need all people alive, or you have to tank LB to somehow survive it, which kind of affects something else. So it's very hard to recover from people dying in a turn like this.
The last time they like used this mechanic, I guess, was Midas, like with A7 and A8 during in the mission, and I think it's probably something people may struggle with, like if they have a weak link in the group.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what you guys are saying is that like Xeno can't carry me through this content.
Yo, Xeno can carry anything, dude.
Okay, I gotcha. People were giving me shit last show because he was in a couple of my clears. All right. So let's talk about tanks a little bit here. Do you guys feel like all the tanks are kind of balanced going into this fight? I mean, you guys have said you can clear it with everything, but I mean, are you? Do you think that if someone came with a certain comp that they would struggle more than otherwise? Or other comps would? Because Dark Knight was shat on for a while, and then people kind of turned their heads a little bit when they saw the Dark Knight pop up in the World First group.
I think it's more Astro. I think Astro may struggle in this fight a little bit.
But for the tanks, I think not having a Paladin is bad. For not just this turn, but any turn. I think a Paladin this expansion is essential to progression, because they have a lot of utilities and
keep talking. Yeah, just keep going.
Well, for me, I'm the warrior, right? As well, I'm the warrior, and I never once thought at any point in the last like year or whatever to go Dark Knight in any turn because like I said before, my warrior's my comfort pick, right? And they recently gave it Shake It Off, which is like I think secret OP for like progression fights, because it's like an extra AoE mitigation.
It is strong, yeah.
So for me, like Warrior Dark Knight is like interchangeable. There's like no reason to bring one or the other. It's just whichever one you prefer playing. Like
exactly. Really. So I think like Dark Knight Warrior, like this kind of comp would maybe struggle a little bit more, but they can still clear the content. I think it's mostly not having a Paladin rather than which comp would work. So.
Okay, I gotcha. I mean. Yeah, actually doing Warrior, because I progged all through 04 in a very long, extended period of time with a Warrior and a Paladin, then swapping out, making Shake It Off not a meme anymore, made that fight like a joke.
Yeah, Shake It Off is really, really good, especially like because there's a little bit of a skill cap with it as well, where you can time your cooldowns to be dropping off as you want to give extra mitigation and stuff. Like, I honestly think Shake It Off's like a really, really good skill now. A bit maybe too good, but
okay. Here's a kind of a off question. It seemed kind of weird, but I saw it in here, and the only reason I'm reading this is because they said it was on the World First Clear team. They said they had Ultimatum as a tank role.
Yeah, they had it for the ad phase. They had it for where they both.
Is it required?
Okay. No, just the way they tanked it. They had both tanks take the double busters with their immunities, so they just needed an AoE provoke for the other tank to get it back. That's the only reason they had the ultimatum.
Okay, that makes sense. So it wasn't just some random thing. They actually kind of thought about it a little bit, and they're like, "Hey, this could actually help out the fight a little bit."
I don't think it does help. I think both strats are as viable, but in the end...
I think if you die to Chariot before you're supposed to take the busters, though, it might help. I don't know who that happened to, but it might have happened to someone in the chat.
I mean, what are you replacing with Ultimatum? I haven't actually even thought about what you would have to get rid of.
Conver or Awareness, whichever one you run.
Exactly, one of these two.
But those are extremely valuable for this fight, no? Or...
That's the
I
thing.
mean,
I ran Convalescence as the warrior, and our paladin ran awareness. So like we had one each, but those would be the two skills or the skill slot you'd want to swap out for this. But I just don't know. Like if you're tanking it the way they did, where you need the ultimatum, it's good, but I don't think it's necessary at all.
Okay.
the other ones are more important. Like, yes, they are valuable, but they're not as valuable as the other ones. So
All right. So let's see. You guys said you didn't change progression, or you didn't change classes all during progression, so we can kind of skip that. And I think most of these comp questions got knocked out. Let's talk about healers a little bit. A lot of people are struggling, or I hear a lot of complaints about healers. This one says, hey, how did you guys keep focused during a fight? Did you guys ever get distracted at any point? Or did you have a way of avoiding that? I guess this is a good unit question, isn't it?
of course,
What was the question?
how do you stay focused as a healer?
Yeah.
I don't know. How? I just focus. I don't know.
I just do it. You just make it happen. So, is there any? All right, say a tip, or give a tip to a healer that's struggling in this fight. What tips would you give them, Yuna?
I mean, as a scholar, like first when you see the mechanics for first time, like you just go with your intuition and like adjust later if you think this using this here is better or something like that.
Okay. Hold on. So you're saying you kind of just use your intuition, and you kind of just know. After a while, you just figure it out and you just make it work. There's no like process that you go through. There's no like, I need to make sure that I'm staying focused on this fight and not paying attention to somebody that's talking about some weird subject, or there's nothing that happened at any point that distracted you in the fight. You were just 100% focused.
I mean, like I made mistakes too, but like I try my best to focus all the time.
What was your most common mistake?
Common mistake. I mean, like there are some parts like if there's my mitigation missing, like it can cause a wipe or something. And
Which part?
yeah,
Was there like, I guess I'm wondering if there's like a certain part that like you had more issues than any other part in the fight, keeping proper mitigation or doing anything else, or was it all just even?
the last phase I talked about it before as well, like
Mhm.
cause the last phase is like you don't get there every time, cause if you have like a death before that phase, this you probably not gonna make it to that phase, and then
Mhm.
like I had to see the whole fight and to memorize the rotation so I can do to rotate my mitigations.
Okay. Did you have a lot of situations where you had to make up for people making mistakes and heal them back up, or was this fight just pretty much like, hey, if they messed up, then you didn't have to even think about it because they were dead no matter what? Or did you have any?
If there's a death, we try to recover too.
Okay.
To keep going, because if you just give up, you have to start over again from twin. Like I didn't want to see that happen.
I mean, even in our kill vid, I think we had 4 deaths before Bahamut phase. So
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Can we maybe share the clip of that recovery we did where Kiko went AFK?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Do you
Oh,
guys,
no.
you guys
We
put
have-
it in
we have
chat
a-
here, and then
we had this run where literally every phase went wrong, and we recovered a million mistakes at every phase, and then at one point, like, people thought it was definitely a wipe, and they just went AFK, and we still recovered it.
It was during what was it?
Oh,
Heaven's Fall
Hold on,
Tower
I will
phase?
find it. I will
Towers
find it.
missed.
okay. Do you guys have it?
Yeah, I have it.
Okay.
But
Wait,
it's
wait,
just,
wait. In the-
just treat every pull with value, and like if you can recover, even if it's just with 2 people alive and see a new mechanic, it's better than just dying and starting again.
Right.
Yeah.
Just never
I
give
think
up.
it was just 2 people alive during towers or after towers because of tank LB. No,
Mhm.
not tank LB, right? Or was it
I think
tank
I linked it to you in the
I'm gonna
in
put it in
Discord.
chat just because I don't know if I can get it on the screen without
Yeah.
messing up the overlay
Okay.
too much, and I'll let people kind of.
It was
put
like
it
the
there.
first
So
time. The
I
first time.
just thought it was done, so I just went to the bathroom, and yeah, I came back like we are standing at Twintania,
Uh-huh.
and they were like, "Yo, why did you AFK or something?" And I just didn't believe it, to be honest. It was funny.
Oh, jeez. Okay. Let's check. I think most of this other stuff's about casters, but we kind of knocked a lot of that stuff out. Do we need to go into any more detail about Astro and why it's not useful in Ultimate, or do we feel like we got that pretty good?
I wouldn't say it's not useful. I'd just say Scholar's in a much better place. Like maybe the healers would have a better opinion on it, but from who I've spoke to, like I think Astro maybe like the odd job out for this content.
You know,
I
what's your
mean-
thoughts on that? Or well, actually, no, Hari, I forgot you're a healer too.
Yeah, I think Leith got it right. Like, Scholar has better mitigation and White Mage has better raw healing. So for this kind of content, it's better to have like the best of both worlds. But I think like if some groups maybe struggled on the DPS check in the last phase, I feel like an Astro, because everything is doubled, like the percentages from the cards would scale quite a lot in the last phase, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that would be kind of broken, but for the rest of the fight, like leading up to the ad phase, I think a White Mage Scholar composition is a bit easier.
Yo, and anyway,
safer.
like, fuck Astro. How about that?
There you go. All right, and so this is a question for you, Leaf, real quick. Do you think the 4.06 summoner buffs were crucial for you to bring it? Like, would you still bring summoner even if they didn't have the buffs?
Yeah, like Summoner was pretty OP like before, like it was fine. Now, with the buffs, I guess it made it a bit easier for maybe some people who weren't like top at the job to play. But yeah, I think the buffs kind of like pushed it over the edge, maybe a little bit too much. I'm not sure. You're basically like you're more mobile than a red mage. You do more damage than a red mage. You have the same utility as a red mage, apart from like the triple meme reses. Like,
Mhm.
I think they need to take a look at the other two casters and like try and rebalance. Like, I would love to see a progression where double caster is not a fucking meme. Like, seriously, double
Yeah.
caster I think should be a thing.
When was it last a
sick of-
thing?
I think like coil maybe like second coil people.
Final coil. We ran 2 black mages.
Yeah, I remember that.
Really?
Like double range, yeah, like it's been that long. Like double range, don't get me wrong, like great, but if I have to play a fucking machinist to join a speed kill group, I'll slit my wrists. Like seriously, fuck that job as well.
I think Black Mage in Final Coil was really strong. Because like in the ad phase it did a lot of damage, and also in single target it was really powerful. So having like 2 Black Mage wasn't a bad thing, I think, in Final Coil.
Isn't that like the same thing? Like they did double monk like before that in one of the tiers, didn't they? Because like it had
Yeah, you would have your dragon kick bitch, so you'd do more damage basically.
I think maybe turn 8, you mean turn 8 because it was one tank and the other tank would go, because I think turn 8 was a bit of a DPS check.
and they had
And
well
the
it was the damage reduction they had too, right? It had some sort of value. I forget what it was. It was something I had a conversation a while back about that.
Dragon kick I didn't down, didn't it? So
Yeah, but like one monk could keep Dragon Kick up the whole time, so
It was I can't remember. I think it was something else. Like it was some sort of like it was like one of their stances or whatever.
no, like dragon kick give intelligence down on the boss, like, and then delirium kind of did the same thing. So you would never have a dark knight and a monk in the same party.
Fist of Earth. I know that they
No,
had.
I think what you mean is like when you had 2 monks, then only one monk would do the Dragon Kick and the other monk would basically
No, it was
just
Fist of Earth. It was something with Fist of Earth. I know the Intelligence Down did it with Dragon Kick, but Fist of Earth did something, and I forgot what it was. There's some sort of trick.
That just lowered your own damage.
Yeah, but like there's like a mechanic that they could take because they had Fist of Earth or something. I don't know.
What?
I forget. That was a long time ago. I went off on a weird tangent there. I'm sorry. All right. So, I have like a handful of questions here. They're just kind of miscellaneous questions, and then we'll get into some of the questions that people are asking here on the show today. So one of the questions here is, if someone wanted to get into an entry level kind of, I guess, raider position, someone who wants to, be good, and stay a healthy life, I guess is what the question says here. What's the suggestion for someone who wants to actually get into more serious raiding?
I think it's just find like-minded people. Like, for me, I started the game just before Final Call came out, and I was new to MMOs and stuff, but I started playing with people I met in Pathfinder or in good groups I joined and stuff, and I eventually got into like a community of better people, even though I was a noob and just starting the game.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if you show people you're good at the game on your server, you start to get involved in like circles of people who like recognize you and stuff, and then from there you can get into statics.
I think proper mentality is important. Like if you want to start raiding, start like having a good mentality. Like I would say, let's say you go into a park raid. It may even be a 24-man raid or something, right? You always have like the odd guy out blaming other people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I can just quote someone. You can call it like Korean advice. It's maybe a bit like it goes beyond just an entry level, but I feel it's a very good mindset to have. So
Mm-hmm.
it goes something like, don't think too much about what other people are doing and just focus on yourself. You can look around after you're doing well yourself. If you do well, then the other people around you can do well. This comes from someone involved in the League of Legends scene. It's like the coach of SKT. I don't know. It doesn't matter anyway who he is, but I think this quote is really important for a good mindset. And a good mindset and mentality and dedication are important for raiding, I think. It doesn't matter if it's like at a super high level or if you're just starting, but like having the proper mindset is really important. And yeah, I'll just read the chat. It's true that SKT lost words, but you can't argue that Coma doesn't know his shit, or that he does know his shit rather. So
Yeah.
I feel like, I mean, everyone can perform a rotation, right? Or at least I hope so. If you want to raid, so mentality and dedication is quite important if you want to do something.
All right, that's solid advice. I was expecting something that like was like 2 seconds long, and you're like, "Here you go. Here's like a wise saying," and you kind of went into it a little bit. So thank you.
What do you want? Get good.
Yeah, I was no. I was hoping for something good, but I expected get good. I expected Leaf was going to come in like, "Oh, just get good." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Thanks,
Just
Leaf."
don't be a shitter. How about that?
Don't be shit.
Well, that's the thing. There's a difference between people who join the game, right? There's people who join the game and don't care about how they play or whatever. They don't care about their rotation. But then there's people who play and like they care about doing their rotation properly, even in a dungeon or something. Like,
Yeah,
if you're one of those
that's true.
people, like you'll just eventually get into a static that suits your needs. But if you're one of those people who just goes in and is an ice mage for no reason, then yeah, you're not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, they won't be asking how to be a good raider. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so this is a kind of a curious question here. What's your typical playtime like when you're not doing world raiding? Do you have like little side activities? Do you guys go garden? Do you guys go to the gold saucer? What do you do?
I'm actually quite an avid PvPer. I actually preferred PvP over PvE in this game for a long time.
Huh.
Yeah. I actually raided quite hard in Gordius, but then after Gordius, I basically became a PvPer until until this tier, basically, until Omega, when I came back into PvE.
That's kind of interesting.
If I may add on to that, right now I'm pretty much just AFKing at my house because, like Ben, also I really enjoyed PvP. I played like every season of Feast and even Wolfston before, but I just can't get behind these PvP changes.
They're not that bad, man.
Come on.
Rival Wings, dude. It's coming.
The Rival Wings actually looks pretty good.
Yeah,
I will give them
this
that.
looks good. I agree, but I just or at least up until now, I just couldn't get past these combat and combo changes. It's like it's not even confusing me. I just don't know what they want to do with that. But I guess this is a topic for your next show, maybe.
It is my
or
next
the
show, actually,
after.
100%. Next Saturday is this coming Saturday is a PvP show where we're talking about Aether League, which is, I don't know if you guys know, but the guys on the Aether Data Center are creating a league so people can create teams and fight each other. And it's moderated by players and not GMs who don't care about win trading, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's good. But I mean, overall, aside from that, I'm just trying to cap because I kind of have the goal to have every melee geared until the next content usually. So
Okay.
I'm still trying to cap. But other than that, I'm really not doing much anything in game.
You just gotta kill, Ultimate a few more times so you can get all the melee weapons, right?
I don't know about that, but we'll see.
Okay. Leaf, what are you doing in the game? What do you do in your free time?
My free time, I mean, I usually just end up leveling classes that I like knowing what each class has,
Mhm.
for raid content and stuff, and then I'll just do casual things like I like triple triad and like chocobo racing and stuff like that. When
Oh,
I'm
really?
bored.
Do you want to come on my Chocobo Racing show?
Yeah, I mean I'm done. I want the mount. What is it? The Koro picker.
Oh,
That's the new one, right?
the
The green one?
yeah, the green flower thing.
Yeah, so I'll probably start like try to hardcore farm that thing now.
Okay.
That's my goal. From Savage Raiden to Koro picker farm.
Harry, what do you do in the game outside raiding?
I mean, I mostly play the game for raids. Like outside that, like I have a full-time job and family, like wife, daughter. So
You have a family?
yeah,
Holy shit.
so I just enjoy like raiding. I usually like take time off to play for the raids, and then other than that, I just do my job. And I enjoy playing in the evening sometimes. Like we do cells and stuff like that. But
Mhm.
I wouldn't say like I don't really enjoy like the whole gold saucer crafting kind of thing. Like I'm not really bothered by that.
I got
Casual. That's what the fuck.
you. Casual, don't do triple triad. You're a loser. How many cards you got?
A lot. A lot of them.
Oh my god. Yiren, what do you do in your free time in the game?
I actually do a lot of stuff. I craft and gather a lot. I really enjoy the crafting system in this game, and I level my other classes. And when I don't have anything to do, I just go and try to catch all the big fish, from fishing log.
Mm-hmm.
Which that takes a lot of time. And like gearing up other classes, basically anything that I can find to do to build on my character in this game, I do that.
Okay.
But yeah, mostly crafting and gearing up classes.
All right. Yuna, what do you do in the game?
Mount Farm.
Mount Farm? Okay.
Yeah.
You guys are a bunch of casuals. It's all
Nah,
this crafting, this gathering, leveling
I
up.
used to actually play the game a lot. Like back when I first started, I was in kind of a casual group, and I enjoyed playing the game and doing like final coil on different classes. But as the game's progressed and through Heaven's Ward, I stopped leveling so many classes. I stopped playing on so many different classes. So it's just now it's come down to I've got the classes that I leveled that I like, but I don't really do much on them because like it's not really fun for me anymore to go into the raids and stuff on these alt classes because I do enough of it on my main. So it's just kind of a bit boring for me.
I think an issue is the replayability of Omega and like Creator to some extent is it's not high. Like
Yeah,
honestly,
exactly.
it's not high on my list to go back in there. Like I can barely stay awake in like a weekly clear. Speed kills. I mean, I'm a summoner, so like it takes speed kills like with a pinch of salt. But yeah, like I mean, that was quite fun what we did. But outside of that, I don't know.
Like back in the day, I could run T10 to 13 on any class and just have fun, even if I did it 10 times a night, just because it was like that sort of fight. We'd have fun playing different classes, but now it's not so much.
I gotcha. Okay. All right. This is a quick question. So, are you guys at all concerned, like in the future, that casuals like myself will be able to come in and kind of easily walk through and do this content because we completely out level it in the next expansion, or we out gear it? And do you feel like that will kind of diminish the accomplishment, or no?
I mean,
It
some
will
people
diminish
might,
it, yeah.
but I really don't mind because I think like when that happens, it's going to be other content that has the value that is more relevant. That one, like
Yeah.
by the time people get in here like at level 80 or something, like no one's gonna care who cleared this first. You know, there's gonna have been like other ultimates, other new raids, and other things that.
Well,
Yeah, the game. It's,
The thing is, it's content for these players right now in terms of the people who will probably end up killing it, but everyone pays the sub, and at the end of the day, it's content for everyone. So if they locked it, like, yeah, you could argue like the title and the weapon and stuff, but I don't think it would be the right thing to lock it. Like, just leave it accessible. I mean, if people want to clear it in the next expansion, then they're playing the game, aren't they? So it's good.
So you don't think that they should lock it with eye level and everything else, and say every single time you just fight, you have to be at this minimum eye level?
No, because I don't think that if they did that, it's the time and investment wouldn't warrant the. Do you know what I mean? Like, it just wouldn't warrant it. Like, it would be far too few people.
I mean, what would be cool maybe is maybe they could say that you can only get the achievement if you do it minimum eye level or level sync.
Maybe, yeah.
Like you could still get the weapon, but the title would remain for people who cleared it with the relevant gear. Maybe something like that would be okay, but I think if they log the weapons behind it, like they're gonna get so many complaints that
yeah,
it wouldn't work. Yeah, it
But
wouldn't
the only
work.
thing I didn't like seeing was like people going back into turn 7 Savage at level 60 and kill it in 2 minutes, and it's like,
Yeah,
Jesus, the amount of pain some people went through to kill that fight, and these guys are just gonna run through it in 2 minutes. It's just, I don't know.
yep.
Overall, I feel that people who kill it at this point, let's say this week, up to like 4.2, they won't really be bothered by people who kill it 4.5 or next expansion or whatever. I don't think it matters too much.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and they're not going up on my document anyways, right? My document's
Exactly.
stained.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I only do this for your approval. By the way, so.
Oh, Leaf, you always got my approval, dude. Always.
Nice.
Okay. Let's see. The next question we have here. We probably have to shotgun through some of these because we are running almost that 2-hour mark. Let's see. As one of the few that's cleared this content, I don't know if I completely agree with this statement, but I'm just going to say, do you guys feel like you're going to... I'm going to make it short, the part that I'm more interested about. Are you guys going to make a guide or anything? Or are you guys going to work with anyone to make a guide? Or are you guys just going to leave it be?
No.
If Xeno wants some footage, I mean, I'll gladly help.
Yeah?
I
Yeah,
don't know.
can be Stardom Xeno combination.
Yeah. I mean, why not?
Yeah.
Jesus, it's fine, all right? As long as they can put out a good guide, it doesn't matter, dude.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I mean, if someone approaches us and says, "Hey, can you give us information so we can make the guide?" Like, I'm not gonna say no, but I think like we raid, we don't do guides, you know. So
Okay.
I don't see any of us like taking time to go make some footage and make the guide and thing like that. No, I don't think so.
Fair enough. All right.
I mean, the guide would take longer to make than it took to actually clear the content. It's such a big fight.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. You would have to have like a 50 page guide or something to do that? Ugh.
Probably.
Okay. Let's see. Next question here. If you had to make any changes to any upcoming Ultimate raids that are different, from this raid, some way to improve it, make it better, what would you change in the next upcoming Coil? Or not Coil,
I
sorry,
have
Ultimate.
one thing to add.
Sure.
Just one thing, and that would be to add an orchestrion roll for the last phase's music when you show the achievement to the Gridania guy. Even though probably a lot of people would rage on the official forum, but I really want an orchestrion roll.
Do you know how many people would come to your FC house just to listen to that music? Come on.
Probably.
Yeah.
But I have a private house and it's locked, so...
Okay. You don't want people to come in?
He's just a tease.
Just some people, not many.
I think the formula they started with is pretty good, where it's like Twin, Nail, Bahamut, and then last phase. I think they did that sort of formula, but with like say Titan, Garuda, Ifrit, and then they had a last phase, which is a medley. I think that's a good base to start an ultimate fight
That
on.
is cool, yeah.
Because it means they can like take factors from every fight to make each individual fight hard, but then also mix it all together for one last like ultimate phase. I think that's something
Primal
they could
Ruler.
definitely do. Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of, to be honest with you, I don't want a lot of people or a lot of bosses in the next fight. I mean, I can have like little bosses and stuff, but like this was like this can come back later, but I don't want the next one to be.
So
Yeah.
do you want like a new fight or do
No,
you want
not a new
like,
fight.
more rehash?
I want him to just bring back Titan and make it.
But what I mean, I remember Xeno's
18
Grease
minutes
Lightning.
If you
fucking
remember it, then you
Valkyrie.
know what they can do. Come on, man. We had a whole show on it. We have an hour
Okay, then
describing
that-
a fight that they could make.
That's what I want then. I want that.
Okay.
Grease Lightning Super Saiyan 3 Titan. That's what I want.
That's why you have my approval, Leaf. That's why. Okay. What changes? No, we got that one. So, have you guys played a lot of other MMOs besides this one?
A few.
Few?
I started out with Final Fantasy 11.
Oh, okay.
So
Well, the main reason I'm asking that question, if you guys have experience with other MMOs, would you consider this one of the hardest fights you've ever done?
if I may answer based on Final Fantasy 11, no, because I don't know if people are familiar with Absolute Virtue, which was essentially unbeatable for a long time, and yeah,
Okay.
there are like, how do you want to say that? Obviously, Final Fantasy 11 was more or less open world, right?
Mhm.
And to see the boss, Absolute Virtue, wasn't guaranteed because of reasons and stuff like that. And once you see it, you want to make something out of it, right?
Mhm.
So there's stories about having that boss up for like over 30 hours. 30 hours straight, right? The game was international, so there's no NA European or Japanese servers.
Mhm.
It's like completely all over the world. So the Link Shells, which are technically free companies right now,
Mhm.
they work together with their Japanese members, European members, American members, and just took shifts just to like try to get the boss somewhere. And yeah, it was just broken. So
That's pretty interesting.
technically, I guess. So just based on that, it wouldn't like Ultimate Coil wouldn't be the hardest, but
Mhm.
it's up
Yeah,
there. I would say.
I'm gonna say it. Fuck Final Fantasy 11.
I think so.
Fucking Resident Sleeper. Fuck that game.
Jesus Christ.
I think it was fun back then. I don't know.
You only pissed off like almost everyone, I'm sure. I hated that game because I couldn't jump. That's the only reason I couldn't play it.
Oh, hi Arthurs. You were on Odin too, right? On Final Fantasy 11. I think he was.
Oh,
I
yeah?
see him in chat, so
Yeah.
he's probably lurking.
Yeah, he just popped in. He popped in. All right. What about anyone else? Did you guys have any other more challenging fights from other MMOs that you played?
I haven't really played any other MMOs to this extent, so no.
Okay.
But
I mean,
if I compare to other games like single player and stuff, I think this is the hardest I've ever done.
I've done like not when Legion come out, but I went to raid a bit with Angered WoW. Like I play controller, right? So keyboard mouse is a fucking challenge for me. But playing with challenged Angered WoW people is like even more of a challenge for me. So I'd say that's probably some of the hardest content that I've done.
Jesus, Leaf. Come on, man. Come on. Don't mess with my boys.
Come on. But, well, I mean, it's not those guys. It's WoW guys. Don't get me wrong.
Okay. Angered WoW guys. I got you. All right. So we have some questions that were asked today. Do you guys want me to ask joke questions, or you guys want me to ask serious questions here?
Up to you,
Whichever
man.
prefer. It's
Whatever you feel
jokes.
like asking, yeah.
Yuna, how do you like the raid on EU Ping?
I don't enjoy it.
Pretty obvious, yeah. Did you have any issues, by the way, when you were raiding that you're just like, due to getting it adjusted to that ping, that kind of maybe made you struggle a little bit more this tier or this fight?
Like for example, like I use Shadowflare macro. Like sometimes it just wouldn't go off because I just have a high ping or something.
Yeah. It's, you know, it's kind of funny now that you have those issues going over to an EU server where they had issues forever and now they're better than NA people with their servers. How do you guys feel about those EU servers right now?
Well, I used to raid with Xeno back in Final Coil, so I played on NA servers like a long time ago, and it was so trash. And now going back to an EU server felt so fucking good. Like you'd had zero delay on any skills, whatever. Then going back to NA was just terrible, unplayable.
Yeah. All right. You're Urine. Have you said sorry to your desk for hitting it when you cleared?
No, but I patted it a little bit.
Give it a little pat.
Yeah.
You're like, it's okay. It's like
just to see if it's all right.
Sounds like an abusive relationship. You're like, you just hit it really hard and you don't say sorry. You're just like, it's okay, don't worry.
It understands.
Like, come on, here. All right. Okay, this is kind of a douchey way to say it, but we can say it. What's your feelings when you realized this wasn't going to be a cakewalk like Alex or Alex or Omega Savage? Like, how'd you guys feel?
We're glad.
It
Yeah,
felt good.
Yeah.
We were glad. Yeah.
All right.
This is what we wanted.
It wasn't a sprint. It was more of a endurance, which is better because it means somebody who figures out mechanic in like one pull isn't going to be miles ahead as long as the other people are consistent.
Yeah.
Like Gordius. Gordius was huge endurance.
I mean, for the wrong reasons, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the wrong reasons. I think Midas was better.
How much are you guys selling Ultimate for?
2
I mean,
billion.
are you Arabian?
Or two.
2
Then
billion.
you don't need to know.
2 billion. 2 billion. All right. There you go, guys. If you want to buy a run, 2 billion. How much time do you think it would take to run somebody through that? They had no clue what they were doing.
Oh, you mean if
No-
they
no-
were playing?
no
I see
comment.
what you're aiming at.
Yeah. Oh, no.
comment.
No, I'm not meaning take their character and play it for them. I mean, actually. go through
Okay, that's a good question.
it.
Well, we're asking what level of skill are they? Are they 24-man raid level or are they
Oh shit!
dungeon level?
I would say 24 man, right?
Yeah, there's. I mean,
No chance.
Oh,
yeah,
There's no
amount
price.
of. There's no amount of money. I don't think it would be possible. It could take like a year. Let's be real here.
Okay. I guess we kind of answered this a little bit. You guys didn't get tilted at all, really, during the raid, right? There's no big tilts, and there's no issue where you had to kind of calm someone down and be like, "Hey, chill out."
Only on the kill day.
A little
Yeah,
bit. Like,
I think one person tilted at some point because someone died to Exaflare, which
then he
is, I
died
guess,
next run.
exactly, and then he goes and dies to the Exaflare next run, so it's all good though. But yeah, it was, as I said, I can just repeat it. It was really calm and not much
Yeah,
tilt,
I mean,
if at all.
of course, we had moments like where it got heated, but it would last like 10 minutes, and then it's like, all right, let's just move on and keep going. So
Okay.
One thing in progression is like, even if someone does get tilted, and like they go off and shout at you, like, don't fucking take it personally. Like everyone's there, everyone's under pressure. They probably don't mean it.
Yeah.
Like everyone just needs to be adult and go on with it. Like people get stressed, people like react in different ways.
Mhm.
Carry on.
I mean, playing at this kind of level, and I'm not sure how it goes with other groups, but I think people need to understand that everyone can play, right? Everyone like has certain kind of skills, so what's the point of like tilting and going
I
crazy
mean, not
and
everyone.
blaming people? Well,
Hopefully, everyone in your group. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Like,
yeah.
let's say this group, Angered, Lucretia, whatever, right?
Because there were a lot of groups who were overconfident. And this was
Oh,
kind of
well-
like a confidence check and made sure that they understood.
Oh, you mean
What?
creator babies, the people who started the game when the concept
We-
was easy?
For one, speak
Yeah, we
your
did talk
heroes.
about this, didn't we?
Yeah, we had to talk. The raid scene has created people from FF Logs who think they're really good because the content's easy and they can speed kill it, but they've never really had like a hard fight to go through. So yeah, this is probably reality checked some people into their own skill level.
Part of our thought process was that if people are back in the game that probably struggled with like Gordius and this was of that level, they would probably end up leaving again. Like it's.
But this
know
is
what I
just
mean by
a
that?
challenge fight, right? If someone
Yeah,
leaves the game because this fight's too difficult, then what game is good for you? Do we have to have
But if
like
you-
the perfect difficulty for this one guy? I mean,
But if you clear if your raid group is clearing the tier, do you know what I mean? Like most groups cleared in week 1, they probably expect to come and clear this, don't they? And if they're struggling, like they probably can't handle the fact that they're struggling because they think they should be doing better.
yeah,
Egos get broken.
yeah, big ego killer.
Yeah.
Okay, Yuna, what's your favorite anime character?
Naruto.
Naruto. Really?
What?
Yes.
that sounds
Wow.
so plain and boring.
So cute.
Love Naruto.
I've never really watched too much of that show. I kind of got annoyed by Naruto. He's kind of annoying. I just wanted to trigger somebody. I hope I did. Okay. Let's see. I'm trying to see if there's another good question here to ask you. Let's get one more question in here. Do you guys trust Square Enix to make Omega harder, or will it stay the same as Creator and Deltascape while the hardcore groups look forward to only Unending Coil? Do you guys believe that since, I guess, Ultimate is out there right now, that they're not going to ever make more difficult content for their normal tier raids? Or is it just... Go ahead.
I think it's gonna be on the same level, to be honest. But that's just my assumption. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel the
I
same.
could be wrong. Like, I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think I am, to be honest.
I think this is fine to have like the raid that gives the gear be the easier raid in a sense. Like, will kind of make the general population happier, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Then we're fine with it as long as we get that hard tier, which gives like maybe like a little title or a glamour item or whatever. Because we're not doing it to get the loot; we're doing it for the challenge. So
I slightly disagree with that because I think Square Enix doesn't give some of the raid groups like what they could do is they could scale up the normal mode. Like normal mode is way too low, and then they could slightly scale up the actual raid. I think that would be better. Like not to this difficulty, but they could definitely make it just a bit more difficult.
Yeah. I honestly
Also-
think... Go ahead.
Also make normal mode maybe a tiny bit more relevant to whatever it may be. But what is it for right now, to be honest? Like,
The thing is, it's crafty gear that makes normal mode irrelevant. Like that's the thing.
yeah.
It's like how do you balance between keeping crafters, keeping people who want that content, and then people who want the raid content. Like it's like the impossible juggling act at the moment with the difficulties that Square Enix have.
Yeah.
Here's something crazy. This entire expansion I have not really worn. I've worn a little bit of crafting gear, but almost no crafting gear. As a tank.
You don't have the right side?
Nope.
I thought the right side.
It is best in
accessories-
slot. But I'm so cheap. I just use whatever I get in Savage. I use 340, man.
Yo, you're a streamer. Like, just someone will make it for you, dude. What the fuck?
I don't. I do podcasts. I'm not a streamer. I don't like get on here and stream content and look cool. I do a podcast, a vodcast here. But man,
Yo, someone on Gilgamesh make Frosty some fucking crafted accessories, please.
I don't
Yeah,
have the
for
money
real.
for it, dude. Like it's just like I feel bad for investing any kind of value into it when I know I'm not going that hard at the content.
Yeah, I mean, you're fine with what you have, like with 340 tank accessories. It's just if you're pushing like for speed kills and stuff,
So
it is what it is.
I mean, the difference between having the tank accessories is how much damage. If you just had to like put a percentage or a value to it.
You'd have to ask Ben that. I'm not sure.
Well, a lot. You get like what? It's like 400 direct hit just from the crafted accessories if you take all 5. But if you take 4, it's about 300 or something.
Your Q popped, by the way.
Yeah,
Okay, a lot. So we're talking about a few hundred damage or something like that?
Quite a bit. Like, yeah, direct, especially on something like a warrior, where if you direct hit like a fell cleave or something, it's quite a lot of damage.
Okay, all right. Maybe I'll start trying to be a better player and actually get the proper right side accessories here. I don't know. Just I feel it's so easy not to get it and just to live with what, Savage gives me. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to ask anyone. I don't have to beg for gear. I just whatever. Because I don't log on enough to make money. I think I have.
To be honest,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I was exactly the same before Harry asked me to join this group. I was just living in Lakshmi accessories still because I was just being casual. I had no crafted accessories or anything. Then I was like, oh god, if I'm going to join this group, I better actually meld my stuff now and things. So.
All right, I think we're kind of ending the show now. We're getting a lot closer to the end here, and we can kind of go through the final thoughts and everything. We hit a lot of stuff here. It's been 2 hours. Do you guys realize that?
Time flies.
It flies, man. All right, so before we get off the show here today, before we do shoutouts or anything else, is there anything else that you guys want to just say that you feel like are good words to end off on for the show today? Anyone?
I mean, thanks for having us, and yeah, I hope things we said could help some other groups, I guess, clear content as well.
Yeah, hopefully so. I mean, I think so. I mean, I've learned a lot during the show today. So, is there like, all right, let's do this. Is there anyone that you would like to say anything to? Is there any shout outs to anyone? Do you guys have a 9th man to shout out?
The word of God.
Word of God, it's definitely a 9th man.
Okay, I gotcha.
I have a shout out.
Sure.
Or two.
Do
One, Enigma Unleashed. He's not playing right now because of work and stuff, but I think a lot of people would like him to be back.
Yeah.
And shout out to my girl Uni because she's amazing. So that's it.
Next time you talk to Enigma, if you do, just tell him I said hi. He's a good guy.
Sure.
I mean, definitely shout out to Yevon and Firehands, the 2 members who are not on the show right now.
Firehands was in the chat though.
I know. He preferred to
that wimp.
Preferred to just troll in the chat rather than be on the show.
Yeah.
I mean, shout out to everyone who motivated us and told us to keep going and stuff, and who told me personally to keep going. And shout out to my girlfriend who kept making me potions in between the polls. That helped a lot.
That's love.
Yeah. Yeah, Leaf knows love by just stealing it and running away.
Wow, that's fun.
Yuna, do you have any shoutouts?
Shout out to like my own group. Like we worked so hard and gave our best, and we made this happen. Like my group's amazing, I think. And shout out to Elysium people. That's about it.
Okay, I gotcha. Did I miss anyone? Who else hasn't shouted out yet? Sorry, I went out of order here.
I think Jizbin hasn't shouted
out. What do you got, Ben?
That's the thing. I've not been into PvE, so I'm just a PvPer now. So shout out to all the PvPers who probably won't do this content. Feels bad, man.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. All right. Well, guys, I do want to say this real quick. Congratulations, 100%. I am really glad to see you guys run. I watched you guys, Blacklist in general, in the previous race, and I think that it's awesome to see you guys come in and take EU first and world second here. And I'm next year, are you guys gonna get first? You gonna get first for Omega, whatever it is?
Maybe.
Who knows? We haven't discussed that yet.
Yeah, you never know.
It's only like what, 2.5 months away?
Yeah,
Yo.
but I mean, this group came together like a couple of weeks before, so
Okay.
I
still
love
have
nothing
time.
better than smashing NA people and smashing JP people. So you never know what happens.
Well, good luck with that, man. Hopefully, someone from NA will clear it soon.
I mean, if
think-
they don't get DDoSed, maybe.
Yeah, it feels bad, man.
Yeah, Layla was at like what 1% last night.
Yeah,
I think
that's
they
a,
whacked
that's a
them.
garbage, dude. Like, I don't know.
That's horrible.
I'm sure they'll clear it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you guys for coming on. You guys have been wonderful. I'm so glad that you guys agreed to do it. And I know we're going to have more shows in the future because you guys are going to be in the race again. And people are going to be watching you for sure in the future races and everything else that you guys might do. I don't know. Or you guys might do the same thing Lucrezia did, right? Just not tell anyone and just show up and...
The legends return.
Yeah, legend.
Yeah, easy.
Maybe.
We won't even have a name. You won't even know who we are. Too cool.
Yeah, you'll just be like, oh, no, I don't care about that. No,
Yeah.
fine. But anyways, guys, thank you everybody for watching the show today. This has been excellent. I had a great time. Hope you guys had a great time. We have some shows on the horizon here. We have people from Angered in chat. We're going to have them on a show soon, too. I don't know exactly when, but we're planning that out now. We're going to have a post-World Race show with Angered. We have 2 more groups that we're going to be doing shows with after they get clears, which are a little bit further in the future. And we also have the PvP show coming up this Saturday, so it's going to be a completely different. We've been having raid shows for quite a while now, but we're changing that down, or we're toning that down for just one weekend, so we can talk about PvP. So guys, anyways, thank you all for watching. Thank you, Andre Kane, for doing the music that I play in the intro and the closing. Thank you very much, Blazana, for the artwork on the show. Thank you very much to all the mods in the chat, Karar for emotional support. And I think that's about it, guys. Everybody, have a very wonderful rest of your day. And you guys all want to say goodbye? You want to wave? Wave with me and say goodbye?
Bye-bye.
Goodbye. Thanks for having
Bye.
us.
Goodbye.
Street.
Thank you for
Bye.
having us.
Yeah, of course. Of course. All right. Bye, guys.